In this video, I'm going to share with you the only YouTube automation niche that can replace your 9 to 5 in 2026. So we're going to walk through how to go from the 9 to 5 lifestyle over to attaining your YouTube freedom. And the way you're going to get there is through picking the proper niche. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name's Adam Del Duca. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars with faceless YouTube, just in ad revenue alone, and have helped many of my students do the same, like getting Diego to 20K a month in his first year, and Yan 30K a month on his channel within about 4 or 5 months of starting it. So, if you want to follow in their footsteps, then you probably want to watch this entire video. Now, let's move on to some of the common niche selection issues that are causing people to waste their time, waste their money, get no results, which is what I want you to ultimately avoid, right? So if you pick the wrong niche, you're going to waste a lot of time because your channel's not going to get traction, you're not going to get views, you're going to waste your money because you're either going to outsource the videos or you're going to spend money on the tools and you're not going to get any results, and you're losing potential because the time is now to start getting serious about building your income even further because, let's face it, everything's getting more expensive. So you don't want to be wasting time pursuing the wrong opportunities. So again, these are all consequences of selecting the wrong niche, which is why I felt compelled to put this video together, because I don't want you wasting your time. We're trying to make you some money this year. So unfortunately, though, a lot of people are very uneducated when it comes to their niche selection process. So some people choose risky niches knowingly or unknowingly. So here's just one example of a channel, the Dalio method. And basically what it does is summarizes speeches from Ray Dalio, or actually just kind of copies the speeches of Ray Dalio and then puts them into really low quality content. And adds no transformative value to the videos. So you can see clearly there's a lot of interest in these videos, and this is why people start these channels, because they can get monetized and they can make quite a bit of money because of the high RPMs. But the challenge is people don't understand the risk, because what you'll see very often is that a lot of these channels that are sharing this kind of information, they're actually getting terminated very often. So I don't want you to start a channel and then a month from now, 2 months from now, you make your first few $1,000s and then it gets taken away from you. So there are many other ways to build channels that can actually make you money in the long term. Especially if you want to replace your 9 to 5, you're not trying to make money for a month or two, you're trying to make money for years. Now, people are also uneducated in their niche selection process, which causes them to pursue low monetization niches. So they see channels like this, Creative DIY 365, and they think to themselves, wow, this channel's getting millions of views on their videos. It must be making so much money. If I do this too, I can quit my 9 to 5. But if you take a look at this channel, right now it's getting almost 4 million views per month, but it's only making roughly $6,000. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, $6,000, that's actually pretty good. That may or may not replace your income, but it would definitely help. But the challenge is that keeping a channel up at this high amount of views per month is very unlikely in the long term. And so you don't want to be pursuing opportunities where the RPM or the ad revenue potential is super low, because that's going to be very hard for you to actually get ahead with. Now, moving on to other things that people get wrong so you don't waste the next 6 months or year funneling your money into a niche that's going to ultimately be wasted. You don't want to be pursuing niches with high production barriers, like doing 3D animations of cars and other stuff like this. Now, just to give you some context, you need to run your channel profitably for you to be able to quit your job, right? It doesn't even matter if you make 10K a month. If you're spending 10K a month, you're screwed. You also need to be able to get videos out reliably to continue to run your channel. So just to give you an idea of how much making a video like this would cost for 10 minutes, you're looking anywhere from, let's say, $300 to $800 per video. If you're spending 2-3K per month, and especially as you're starting out, you're likely to be unsuccessful because you don't really know what you're doing. You're shelling out a ton of money. But you can also see that it takes roughly 10 to 20 hours to create one of these single videos. Do you have 10 to 20 hours per week to run your channel? I'm going to assume that you have a pretty good job, you're looking to expand your income, you have maybe a family or a partner, and so you don't have all day to be making YouTube videos, right? So we don't want to put you in a position where you're going to have to sacrifice all your free time to do this. So that's one consideration that you need to think about when you're going forward. So what are the factors that you need to think about to find and pursue the only niche that's going to allow you to replace your 9-to-5 in 2026? So you need to be thinking about these 4 different factors, and these factors are what my student Shahab considered as part of his own journey as us working together that allowed him to scale his channel to $7,000 per month while working his busy 9-to-5 job and also leveraging AI. So the first criteria for your channel, if you want to be successful, is you need to pick a niche that has low production costs, because it's going to lower your cost of learning because you're not a master at YouTube. And you are also going to have higher profit margins because the less you can spend per month to still make a good amount of income means that you potentially get into that zone where you can start living off the profits. I want to give you an example. There's tons of different ways that you can present information on YouTube. One of the examples is example, if only I could spell, right? If you're 30 and broke, watch this immediately. So this video is a video from the channel Nick Invest, who's actually one of my students, and he was able to scale his channel to over $35,000 per month. So this is a really great example of pursuing a niche that has high RPMs, right? Instead of getting paid $1 per 1,000 views, he's getting paid $15 per 1,000 views. So how do you make videos like this? You're actually going to make videos using a tool called TubeGen. So you enter the topic into the system, the TubeGen system. It's going to write your scripts, do your voices, create your images, and you're just going to edit everything together in CapCut. And it costs around $8 per 10 minutes of video. Now, remember what I said. You don't want to be spending hundreds or thousands per month, because if you're learning, that's a lot of money to be burning when you don't really know what you're doing. So you basically will have a reference image that's going to have all these different images being outputted by the tool for every part of your scenes of your script, and then you're going to collate that together. It takes 5 minutes, and then you have one video. So you could be creating videos in under 1 hour of time per week for this type of channel. And you're not breaking the bank, because let's be real, instead of going for Starbucks to get your grande frappuccino, you can make a video instead, and you could start to build your online income that can replace your 9-to-5 job in the coming months or coming year. So that's what you want to think about, because the more you spend, the harder it is for you to be profitable. And it is that profit that allows you to actually replace your income, quit your job, and, gain some more freedom in your life. But the perfect niche for you, especially as you're working as a busy 9-to-5er, you have a family, you have friends, you're trying to get jacked in the gym, you also need to consider that you want your content to be evergreen. So you want to be building a catalog of videos on your channel that compound over time, because that's going to allow you to move in month after month, ideally with more views that are going to still keep paying you. And it's going to allow for more upload flexibility. So let's be real, right? You don't want to be tied to your computer every single day, monitoring the news on things. You want to be able to upload at the cadence that works for you. So this is actually going to be successful for you. Now, like I talked about, I've helped over 200 people monetize and grow their channels. And so I'm just going to tell you candidly, the biggest challenge for people is not even learning how to do YouTube, quite honestly. YouTube is not easy. I'm just telling you how it is. I try and be as honest and transparent in these videos as possible. When I'm working with people that are very busy individuals, their biggest challenge is managing life, right? So they're doing YouTube, and then they have a job, they have kids they're driving around to different sports and activities. Maybe they're traveling for work or for vacation. So you really want to take this seriously, that if you want to build a channel that's going to pay you into the future, you need to make sure that it's going to be feasible on a week-to-week basis. And one of the ways you do that is by focusing on evergreen content. So here's some free bit of consulting for you. Please do not build channels around news and commentary. And I want to give you a couple examples. News, fantastic. this just happened in this part of the war. Seems like there's always a war going on these days. If you're trying to make videos of what just happened every single day, you now have a job every single day versus a channel that you can work on when time permits, that you can build up. Okay? Don't do this unless you want to be working on your channel every single day. Also, you don't want to be making videos on commentaries. Hey, this just happened last night. This just happened in the game before. Again, you're just on the hamster wheel. And while you see these videos getting quite a few views, and again, the channels are making money, this is something where maybe if you are doing this full time, it makes more sense to do something like this for you. Probably even not. But regardless, it can make you money, but it's just too laborious and too time consuming for you as someone that's trying to go from the job to not the job. Okay, so the issue with these channels, like I said, it's just going to take too much time. You have to upload them right at the perfect time. It's going to be stressful to run. You got to bring your kids to sports, but you got to upload a video in the next 20 minutes. It's just not realistic for most people. And with these channels, for example, the hockey channel, the trade deadline takes place a month later. No one cares about it anymore. This video is never getting views again. You don't want to build something like that. But if you're building like my student, you know, if you're 30 and broke, watch this immediately. Sharing actual quality principles about finance, that video is going to be relevant for years to come, and that's going to keep generating income on the channel. So let's give you an example of an evergreen friendly niche, right? So here's an example of 7 Canadian ghost towns selling homes under 100K. You can see the video is 3 weeks old, still getting 70 views per hour. Again, 1 month old, still getting 14 views per hour. And so this video is going to allow this channel to keep making money all year. And it's already been making the channel money, right? So this video would have probably made the channel on a $5 RPM, would have been about, say, $650 from one video. And remember, you're spending maybe like $20 on a video. So think about that kind of return. Now, transparently, not every video is going to get 100,000 views or more, clearly. But on aggregate, as you build these videos and build that catalog, it actually becomes much easier to become profitable than you'd expect. So that's a second factor, so you don't turn into a basket case trying to run your channel, because I'm trying to look out for your mental health here, right? Okay, niche criteria 3, you want to have an expansive set of income and monetization on your channel. So don't pick something that you can only monetize in one way if you want to maximize your income, which you probably do because you want to make as much as possible to eventually quit your job. So you want to look for channels that have 2 or more monetization methods, and that's going to provide you a higher income ceiling because you're not just relying on ad revenue. And this is also going to offset lower RPM months. So it's pretty well known in the YouTube industry that the months where you're going to make the most money from ads is going to be Q4, which is usually when most companies are liquidating their advertising budgets. So typically in January, when the budget's reset, people are more conservative in their companies. They're not promoting as much. And so RPMs actually go down. But if you have other means to monetize your channel, you're going to be able to offset this. Now, the challenge is that most people pick their niches based on how many views is the channel getting that I've been exposed to, or what am I interested in? So again, this, just to go back to this example, a lot of people would see this channel and say, I'm just going to do this. It's getting tons of views. It must be making tons of money. But these low monetization niches tend to lead to unprofitability because it's just too hard to keep the view count high enough to actually make any real money. As soon as this drops down to like even 1 million views per month, the channel's only making $1,000, and that's not going to replace your 9-to-5 income. So what you want to think about when picking a niche is having the channel having an RPM of at least $5 per 1,000 views that you're taking home, and you want 2 or more monetization methods being available. So I just want to show you quickly how I find these types of niches using TubeLab, more specifically just the niches making over $5. So I use the TubeLab niche finder. This is going to save you so much time because you can't just be randomly scrolling YouTube to find a niche. You have more important things to do. So go search by filter. And then let's say we want to see channels from the last year. Click English, monetized, of course. Let's say we want to find ones that are making at least 5K. And the RPM estimates, let's say between $5 and $30. Now, we want to see all the different options. So we're going to do faceless, all types of content, and let's see the results. The good stuff is loading. Great. So we're able to basically see right away different channels that have RPMs within the range that we're looking for. So you can think about, okay, we're going to make a channel out of, some travel footage, or maybe we're going to build a channel out of, news. Well, I guess we wouldn't be building it out of news, but something like this is a great channel, right? It's basically just sharing financial principles based on biblical times. And you can see the high RPM, you can see how much the channel is roughly making, and you can see that these are not videos that you'd have to be uploading every day to build a channel. And, if you get onto that 7, 8, 9, 10K a month, especially in profit, now maybe it becomes possible to quit your job, right? So that's the important thing to consider, is making sure that you're actually investing your time and money into a channel that can get you where you want to go. As you can see, I'm pretty passionate about this because I know the opportunities of YouTube. So you're sitting there thinking to yourself, okay, but what else can I use to monetize my channel? So here's a faceless channel productivity game that does book summaries. You can see that they're getting, maybe 10,000 views per month. It's not overly impressive, the views per month, transparently. You can see here right now it's getting, if we let this load, I think the last time I checked, it was about 100,000 views per month. And I want to basically share with you why this is an important thing to consider, because a lot of people would look at this channel and they would think to themselves, oh, this is just not going to be a channel that can actually make any money, right? Because most people, they just look at total number of views per month and they think to themselves, okay, how much could this actually make me, right? Maybe it'll say in their view stats profile. So here we can see views in the last 30 days are 133,000. So in that, right, you'd be like, okay, how much money is it really making? Oh, okay, $500. That's not really a lot of money, but people overlook the fact that ad revenue doesn't have to be the majority of your income. This channel actually sells digital products like an actual summary of the different videos that they make, extra resources for $50. So nothing crazy, right? But if you think about the math on this, the channel's getting 150,000 views a month. If they just sell 1/10% of their viewers on their product, they're making $8,000 on top of ad revenue. Maybe they do brand deals, get some extra money too. So, once you get to the $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month mark, maybe this is quit your job territory, right? And so this is how you get there the fastest, which no one talks about because everyone wants the biggest numbers possible in their YouTube dashboard. But this is actually how people build businesses on YouTube. And you can even sell your product on Gumroad, on WAP, on Kajabi. These different platforms will enable it. Now, the fourth and potentially most important thing for you to think about when getting a niche that's actually going to replace your 9-to-5, and if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe because, you've listened to me talk for almost 20 minutes, is efficient production. It's very important that you have a mechanism for your niche that's going to be able to produce videos at a time investment that works for you, at a cost investment that works for you, and that really considers the skills that you actually have. So what do I mean by this, right? So again, like I said, I've worked with hundreds of people at this point, and so what I found to be the most important aspects are the following. Skill set. Right now, you're probably sitting there thinking, Adam, I don't really know how to make a good script, how to create a good voiceover. I definitely don't know how to edit videos. And so what I like to tell the people I work with one-on-one, which if you do want to learn about that, you can click the link in this video's description, is that your videos are only going to be as good as the skills that you actually possess. So if you're really poor at editing or at script writing or your voiceovers sound terrible, you're never going to get any views. So you want to acknowledge where your skill sets reside and lie, and then look at which ones are not that great and probably mitigate them with freelancers, or alternatively AI. Now, time perspective. If it takes you 10 hours to create a video, chances are you're going to fail with your channel because it's very hard for someone like yourself to free up 10 hours of time to make one video every week. So this is why using production systems where you're getting other people to do it for you or using AI is very powerful. And costs, the reality is you're going to have some learning costs. You're not going to get results right away. And if you start spending $1,000 a month, a couple of months down the road, you've spent quite a bit of money and you may not have a ton of results, especially if you don't have a strategy behind you. So we want to learn with the lowest cost possible, which is what I talked about earlier. So here's what I personally think you should be avoiding if you do want to be successful with YouTube automation in 2026. Non-AI production friendly niches. So if you can't make the videos with AI using the tools I've shared with you, a VidRush, a TubeGen, etc., you probably don't want to pursue it just because it's just going to be too costly. You're going to have lots of gaps when trying to have a freelancer make the videos for you. And it's just going to cause more time investment than you may be willing to put into the process. Next, what you want to think about is really avoiding niches that are going to require manual labor. So you doing stuff yourself or hiring people that are freelancers that are going to do the work for you, especially if you're using a video format that's hard to make. Because what's going to happen is it's going to elongate the time to produce the videos, or if you're relying on yourself, again, your skills just may not be where they need to be for you to produce good quality videos, which means that you have to learn YouTube strategy and you need to learn video production. And those two things combined will take a long time for you to actually learn. It's much more manageable to learn strategy and then have AI create the videos for you. So you just have to focus on the one piece. And high production channels, do not go spending hundreds or thousands of dollars for each video. Unless you're very, very advanced with YouTube, I would not do that because the ability to be profitable, which profit is the only thing we actually care about, is very, very hard, right? So for example, you've maybe seen this channel Fern. It's actually run by a media company. So this is why they're able to spend so much money on the videos and make so much money. All these videos could easily be thousands of dollars to produce. This is not the approach that you're aiming for. It's just simply going to be way too expensive and it's going to be way too hard to be profitable. So my approach to things is the following. You want to start slow and steady and upgrade over time. So you wouldn't have your first car being a Ferrari because you wouldn't want to spend $400,000 and then potentially wreck it the first day because you don't know how to drive a supercar. You want to buy that reliable Honda or Toyota. You start to learn and then you can spend more as you become more comfortable with things. That is actually how you're going to be successful. No one talks about this. They just want to show you all the tools and stuff, which are great. But a lot of these tools without the strategy, they're not going to help you. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, Adam, but which niches are AI friendly? Because I hear you. I maybe don't want to work with a freelancer. I definitely don't want to do it myself. And I'm not going to go down that route of doing high production like you alluded to. So if you want to do anything image-based, like the student I shared earlier, or a lot of the other channels you're seeing on YouTube these days that are faceless, anything image-based, I suggest TubeGen. You'll just enter the topic. It'll do all the scripting, voice, and image generation for you. You just have to collate it together at the end, and a very low cost per 10 minutes of video. So again, if you have an $8 RPM in your niche, it's just 1,000 views on a video to break even. And once you start mastering picking good topics and YouTube strategy, it's going to be incredibly easy to be profitable. If you want to do something with third-party footage, stock footage, real images, something like this where you're showing a real car, a real train, a real product of something, you're going to want to use VidRush. VidRush is like having your own personal freelance editor, except it's AI. And again, same process, very light friction, just entering the topic and it'll give you the completed video and a thumbnail. Now, this is a bit more intensive, so the price is higher. But again, you would probably pay, let's say, $80 or $100 for a video that you're paying basically $15 to get out of the tool. And this tool, I've been using it for quite a few months now. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And I'm not sitting here saying, go use my affiliate link. I'm more than happy to share that it's a great tool without being compensated. So that's how much I believe it. And I do have many of my one-on-one students using it because, again, I think it's a great tool. And just to say, TubeGen's great as well. So these are the ones I personally use and why I recommend them to you. However, you may be sitting there thinking, but Adam, can niches using these tools have secondary income streams? Like, does that even make sense? So I want to give you an example. Here is the channel Cyphoria, and it basically just makes psychology videos for people that are obviously interested in, psychology. Philosophy is actually a different angle to the channel. And so what you can see right here is that they're really just using generated images to spell out the scenes of their videos. But if you take a look here, they're actually selling a product on the channel. So they're selling a $30 digital product. So if we take a look at this video right here, so I'm just going to open it up. So pause that. And what you can see here is you can see that if we go to the pinned comment, we can actually open up the digital product and we can see that they're selling a product for $30. And so we already did the math earlier, but you can see that if this channel right here, if we go back to the actual channel, is generating, let's see how many views, 1.7 million views in the last 30 days. So again, if you think about the math that I just did up above for the other channel here, right? Now instead turn that number into 1.7 million, turn this into 30, and clearly the number would be a lot higher in terms of that channel's income. So to answer your question, because you're probably thinking it, you can do this with Faceless. You just basically have to have some sort of a prompt in the video to tell people to check out the link. And Bob's your uncle, and you have got to the point where you're starting to move towards building a channel in a niche with all these considerations that's actually going to allow you to build out an income that'll replace your 9-to-5. And if you want to learn exactly how I've made over $650K with just one Faceless YouTube channel, click the next video.